sometimes things are off balance, right? So some days I'm focused on this, some days I'm focused on other things. There's a minimum baseline, right? Our kids are fed, they're safe, and they have good grades. So let's just say that they have a house over their heads. But as far as balance is concerned, you have to be really intentional.
Welcome to another episode of the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. My name is Lamar Tyler. I'm your host, and I got my frequent co-host.
Who am I?
This is frequent co-host? I don't know, right? You've been on a
Yes.
couple times with me. My wife, Ronnie Tyler. What's up, Ronnie?
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
All right. Yeah, I'm pretty formal today. All right. So today we wanted to switch up the speed a little bit and come to you guys with a episode full of Q&A. So there are questions that we get a lot of times from entrepreneurs, from solopreneurs, from larger businesses, from couples in business, all types of stuff that normally, they want an answer from me or Ronnie or both, and they want to know, like, what's her perspective, my perspective. So we said we spend a day giving you our perspectives on a few hot topics. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Let me ask you first before we go into it. What is the question you think people ask us the most? Besides, how do we work together? I think we tackled that.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, we did that in the previous episode, though, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we did.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions that come to mind a lot of times?
Really, that is the main one. If someone's asking me about working together, us working is how do we work together? How can you work with your spouse?
Awesome.
That's number one.
All right, so that's the perfect segue. Listen, if you have not, go back and watch the previous episodes of me and Ronnie, because we did a whole episode about working together with your spouse, your partner. We did a whole episode about determining what your strengths and weaknesses are and gave them a step-by-step.
Yes.
We talked about a couple's code of conduct. If you don't know what that is, make sure you go back and watch that episode. Now, as far as your questions, we're about to jump into it, and here is question number one. What is the vision that you both have for the business, and how do you deal with differences? So, want me to go first?
Yes.
All right, so my vision for the business, we talk about a lot, right? We want to expand what we had a 3-year plan. That was to get and help 50 Black-owned businesses get to 7 figures, $1 million a year, and 5 get to 8 figures, $10 million a year. So the mission of our business is goal-oriented around getting success for our clients. So now we say by the end of the decade, December 31st, 2030, we want to have had 500 7-figure companies, 50 8-figure companies, 5 9-figure, doing $100 million a year. Because we know if we can impact that many companies, that has a butterfly effect on our entire community. Because when we grow these companies, they go out and hire more people that look like us. They go out and, have capacity. They go out and have stronger families. It's so many ripples of what happens, all in a good way, from when we grow these actual businesses. So that's the overall vision that we sat down together, and not just me and Ronnie, the team, leadership at the time, sat down after crafted out that vision for what we do. Anything I left out, anything you got differently?
No, I don't have any different vision. I think we worked on it together.
Maybe that's the nugget.
Yeah, I think if there are some differences, it's a stretch, right? So I always say, oh, wow, that's big. That scares me or whatever. And so we talked about this previously as far as us having different levels of risk. And so I'm always like, oh, that's too big, and you're always pushing the envelope. But I think the biggest thing is, for me, as long as our plans align with the vision, then I'm good with that.
And maybe that might, for the person that asks the question, that might even be the nugget, is that you shouldn't have different visions, right? If you're together, working together in the business, and this ain't even just because we married, just if you got business partners, if you and the team, like your leadership, everybody should be on the same page, marching towards the same goal. And as we talked it through, because this is my kind of first time, hearing the questions as we talk about it, so we didn't get a chance to pre-think about it. Mm-hmm. I would agree, right? Everybody should have the same. It shouldn't be hey, I got this one vision for the company. Hey, you got another vision for the company. Mine is for us to make this amount of money. Yours is to make this amount of impact. Somebody else is to do this thing and then sell in 2 years. It should be like a consistent vision that everybody has. That way everybody can get on board with it.
Right. You should at some point make a commitment to say, I'm on board with the one vision that we have come up with, right? And so that means we had meetings, we really worked through in our yearly planning, our quarterly planning, what that vision is. And then once we approved it, then that's the vision that we're working towards, right? You can't be passive aggressive. You can't be coming back every 5 seconds saying, well, that's not what I wanted, right? And so we all need to be on board.
I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
So his next question says, how do you balance everything, work, life, kids, marriage, etc.? Ronnie, how do you balance all these things so amazing?
I just think that there really isn't any balance. Sometimes things are off balance, right? So some days I'm focused on this, some days I'm focused on other things. There's a minimum baseline, right? Our kids are fed, they're safe, and they have good grades. So let's just say that, right? They have a house over their heads. But as far as balance is concerned, you have to be really intentional. You definitely have to be really intentional, and you have to have some boundaries. I think for us, I think that the advantage is that we work together, right? And so if there's times when you're working really, really hard, then I can say, oh, let me focus on the kids, let me focus on the household, and then vice versa. So we can support each other in that. But I don't know if there's this idea of like, it's just complete balance. Like I worked all day, I'm CEO, I get home, I get to cook the meal, I'm helping with homework. And sometimes some of those things don't happen. Meals don't get cooked all the time. I don't help with homework all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think a lot of times we may be dreaming about this dream lifestyle where you're the A+ mom or dad, you're the A+ business owner, you're the A+, son to your parents or daughter to your parents, you're the A+ friend to your besties. But I haven't seen too many people that have like, hey, because your business is going to push you and stretch you to some limits. But then your kids are going to push you and stretch you to some limits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you got your friends, even if you excelling in those things, normally your friends beefing with you because they like, hey, you spend all your time on your business and your kids. Like, what about us? We ain't seen you in a long time. We ain't hanging out with you. So I'm not sure if it's, and this is my perspective. I'm not sure if it's this perfect balance that everybody wants and strives for. And I'm not even sure if that should necessarily be the goal. I think the goal should be for you to find what levels of happiness you want in each thing, right? And then also to know that if you want to excel in anything, there are times when you have to push into that thing harder, right? If I just live a life where I say, hey, I'm going to be equal output to everything, I'm probably not going to excel at anything.
That's true.
Right?
That's
so
true.
If I want to be, the most amazing parent, I'm probably going to have to push hard in that area and leave some things behind in the business. If I want to excel in the business, I'm probably going to have to push hard in that area and, I'm probably going to drop some balls in a few other places, right? If I want to be the most amazing son or daughter, like you can't be all things to all people at all times. And I think that's the thing to think about. Now, what you choose, I think is very specific to the person, right?
Yeah.
Because you might say, I meet one person and say, hey, you know what? I want to spend my whole day with my kids. I don't want a job. I want to be a full-time parent. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I can meet another person that says, I work all day to provide a lifestyle for my kids that they wouldn't have otherwise that I never had.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is wrong? Neither. Because it's your kid, right? It's like literally you decide the outcome you want for your life and the plan you want. And I think what happens too much, primarily because of social media. Social media get a bad rap on the show. I'm sorry. But it's not a good thing on social, but this one is bad.
Meanwhile, this is on social. But
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I love this part of social, but the other part of social, not so much. But, I think what happens a lot of time on social, everybody got an opinion and everybody got a judgment on everybody else's personal situation. And I think a lot of times people are sharing their personal situations with the world, opening up themselves for judgment when they ain't really none of the world's business.
Yeah, I think that watching people on social gives people a lot of guilt and maybe even a certain level of depression because they're thinking that my life should be a certain way. And they're not really seeing what's going on in the background with these people, right? They're just seeing those positive like clips. And so I really think that you should just worry about what feels good to you. Versus really, really trying to meet some expectation, whether that's an expectation of how somebody else is living on social, or maybe even what you think your parents or your friends may think of you because things are a certain way at home, right? Like maybe your kitchen's not clean, and or maybe your bed didn't get made today, but you're happy. But your kids didn't eat vegetables today, but you sat down with them and y'all shared McDonald's. And so I think that
they're gonna get you for that McDonald's statement.
Who's going to get me?
to McDonald's Razzies. It's like the paparazzi. They hate on people feeding
I
their
could
kids
care
McDonald's.
less. Okay, don't write me. I could care less. Right? We eat McDonald's, all of it. But anyway, and so I just say, do what is best for you. Right? When our kids were really young and we were working and we had the business and I had to work or whatever, it was just like some days I had to just stop. Like I had to tell myself, just stop. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to clean the house. I'm going to do this. Nope. I'm just sitting on the floor with babies that are crying and we're eating snacks, and just stop trying to do what everybody thinks should be right for a woman after work, so.
Yeah, but I think the other part to tag on to what you said before we go to the next question is that half what you see on social is fake anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, we ran, if you don't know, we ran we ran the largest Black marriage and parenting site on the web. And I can't tell you how many times that all the couples that will post pictures, that will post videos, that will post, these loving messages to each other online, the reason they were posting that stuff was out of guilt because their marriage relationships were terrible. Or one person was trying to overcompensate, and then they'd be the same people that pop up the next week and be like, we ain't together no more. And everybody be like they couldn't understand because they really had attached themselves so much to that couple as y'all are couple goals, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all are love goals. Y'all are like what I aspire to be, not knowing all the junk they had in the background. You know what I'm saying? The parent that, may post something, you think, man, like I wish I had that thing like that with my kid. A lot of times when I ask them, like, hey, what's up with your kid? They the same parent be like, man, my kid be acting crazy, be tripping, right? Like they hate taking pictures or whatever it may be, but you're trying to look at the whole lens of how they parent through one shot, through one reel, through one video. So again, I think what you said is good about taking that perspective and again, bringing it back to, what I was saying too, like you got to do what's right for you and what your vision is, what your goals are for you, your family, your children, your career, whatever it may be. How do you manage your time and responsibility inside of the business, right? And I'm assuming this means like who does what and how do we allocate time towards it? You want to go first? Want me to jump in?
You can start.
All right. So in the business, in our business, right? I'm the CEO, Ronnie's the COO. There's a great book called Traction by Gino, is it Wickman?
Wickham or something.
Yeah, Wickman, right? Gino Wickman called Traction. In Traction, Gino Wickman talks about the CEO being a visionary, right? You have the COO that is an integrator, right? Or implementer. And that's exactly what Ronnie's a great integrator because I have a vision. Like I see the picture, like where we should go, where we should be. She talked, about stretching you and scaring you or something like that. I don't know what it is.
Stretching me.
Stretching you. I'm
scaring
not
me too.
I'm not doing neither one of them. So like that's my job as a visionary. Ronnie does a very great job at actually integrating that stuff, right? So taking that vision and creating it and putting it down into bite-sized chunks that then me and the team can actually take and implement to move forward so that it happens, right? Too many entrepreneurs don't have a great integrator or any integrator at all. So if that's not your natural talent or ability, you got the best vision in the world, but if you can't actually manifest it,
right,
it's a waste of your time, your talent, your treasure, everything else that will go along with it. So like those are like our primary high-level roles in the business. What that looks like is a lot of times I'm crafting out, again, where the business goes. I'm crafting out the initial ideas around what the events look like, right? What I want to speak is I'm heavily curating the experience of clients, like the experience parts of different things. And what Ronnie's normally doing is getting with the team to like, hey, once I come with the initial idea of it, normally get a team together to get feedback and to tie in and help flesh it out. And then Ronnie's working with them to then like say, hey, let's lay this down across a timeline, across calendars, who's doing what, implement, and then make sure no steps are missed. Because a lot of times a visionary, you see things as, hey, these things take 4 or 5 steps to get done. But then once Ronnie breaks it down, realizing those 5 steps each have 5 or 6 different smaller components inside of it to actually implement it, make it happen.
Right. So a couple things. The first thing is, number one, that you have to kind of recognize the roles, right? So we're working together as a couple and we're just not like free balling it. Like we just walk into the building, you do something one day, you do something the other day. We actually literally have like formal roles and responsibility and we have them defined. The second thing is just having respect for each other's roles because, you can't respect a person as a CEO one day and then the next day you're not the CEO, or whatever. So just having respect. And the third thing, and this is really, really important for couples that are working together, is accountability, right? So now that you're in that role, you have to be accountable for your actions. You have to do what you say you're going to do. And so that goes back to kind of working together and working out. Being a couple in business, if you want to go far, you're going to be formal with each other. You're going to do all of the things that you learned when 9 times out of 10, all of you work for other people. You're going to do those same things and operate in that same way for your business.
I love it. Guess what? If you enjoyed the last few minutes of this episode of the TSP Show, you gotta watch the full thing. But it's only available on The Convo. You can register today totally free at theconvo.tv or scroll down below for a listing of all of your favorite streaming apps where you can watch it today.